Moccasin. And time now, 17 minutes past 9 on the Radio Wammo Breakfast.
All about games. It's Games Junkie Gerard Campbell from stuff.co.nz.
Let's play tonight.
You're currently listening to the sound effects of the new game Avatar, of course from the movie fame. Gerard Campbell, our game junkie at stuff.co.nz and the press blog at stuff.co.nz. Good morning to you, Gerard. How are you doing?
Good morning. Festive compliments to you, Wammo.
Is that festive as in like festation, kind of like like a festering boil?
Infestations.
How you doing?
I'm good. Good.
Good. It's all a little bit coming out, really, really fast, I suppose. All this entertainment, of course, is coming out for the American holiday season, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. It is. This is traditionally for games. This is a really busy period of the year, and this is when the companies all make their big money because it's as you said, it's American holiday season, and it's when people buy, and it's so you'll find most of the big blockbusters sort of get released between sort of, I guess, early November till about now, and then it peters off a wee bit till sort of mid-January probably, and then sort of peters off again and then picks up again in the middle of the year. So so this is a really busy time, and so there's been some really big stuff coming out at the moment, which is pretty cool for gamers.
And a lot of hype about the movie itself, Avatar. I haven't heard so much about the game.
No, I think, you talk to any gamer or anyone, they say, oh, there's going to be a game about a movie, they'll sort of groan and they'll, because, traditionally, games based on movies have been rubbish pretty much. They're either really rushed affairs because they've been... they've had to be completed to fit the schedule of, the opening of the movie or thereabouts, or they tend to be really lightweight stories, or they just, so typically a lot of gamers treat games based on movies with a lot of skepticism, and that's justified because there have been some really rubbish. So I think for the Avatar thing, most of the focus has been on the movie, the 3D aspects of the movie, that sort of thing, and I think the game has been fairly much on the sort of the down low, as the kids would say.
Yeah.
And the game is it's I guess it's a precursor or a prequel to the movie, so it sort of seems to set the scene for the movie, and it's a third-person action game, and you don't play the role of the main character of the movie. You play a character called surnamed Ryder, who he gets sent down to that planet of Pandora, which is on the movie. And Ryder is a, I guess, grunt or soldier with the RDA. Seems to forces in the mining Pandora for all the rare minerals and that sort of thing. And of course the key thing, the Avatar. The Avatar is sort of a, I guess it's like a, an amalgam of the alien Pandora's alien life form called the Na'vi, their DNA and human DNA, and you get your guy, very early on in the game. One of the very first things you do is you have to transform into Avatar, and basically you jump into it. It sort of looks like like a giant sunbed. You climb into the sunbed, and this transformation takes place, and he turns into this almost, this 10-foot tall blue Avatar. So I guess it's almost like a vessel just to hold your character and that sort of thing. So, so you play this character, and visually it looks really nice. Visually it looks really, it's...
Well, as you'd expect it to do, because that's what the whole kind of... In fact, I haven't really heard about any kind of storyline. It's just all about visuals, right?
Yeah. I mean, the storyline, forget it. I think you can forget about the storyline. But, visually the game looks really good. Pandora's really populated by lush, vivid, plant life and animal life, and it really does look lush and vivid. But unfortunately, it seems that the gameplay is fairly standard third-person, go from point A to point B to talk to somebody, and they'll send you on another mission to, go and fix this device or destroy this device. But there's a rather interesting sort of early on in the game. There's a really interesting juncture in which you have to decide whether you're going to continue fighting for the RDA, which is the Earth forces, or you're going to fight for the Na'vi, sort of take the side of the aliens. And whichever side you choose, it actually gives you two very different storylines. It's two very different sort of missions to do. And at this stage, I'm still playing through the Na'vi side. But with the Na'vi, you've got fairly primitive weapons. You've got staffs and bows and arrows and some knives and stuff. And you can't drive vehicles, but they're very nimble. They're very agile, so they can run around Pandora a lot. And you can also jump on these creatures that they almost look like, not quite griffins, but sort of, they're called, I guess they use terms like, they're very dragon-like, like a banshee sort of thing, so you can fly around the game world. So, and you have to do things like, go and rescue Na'vi captives who are being held by the RDA, or you have to go and disable huge big mining vehicles and that sort of thing. So, missions tend to fall into, as I said before, they sort of tend to fall into that, go to one point, complete an objective, talk to somebody else, they'll send you to another point to do that. So visually, while it looks really stunning, it just unfortunately seems to fall into that fairly bog standard fetch and retrieve sort of gameplay, which is fun for a bit, but then it just gets it gets boring after a while, really.
Yeah. Do you think because they've released it at exactly the same time as the movie, they haven't found out what really tickles the audience fancy about this movie? They haven't been able to sort of test what is actually going to work.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, because from what I understand, that that it's the game's from Ubisoft, and from what I understand, that they've actually been working or collaborating with James Cameron for quite a while on the game, and I guess I guess all kudos to it that it's actually doing a differing storyline, so it's not, a game based exactly on what happens in the movie. So that's probably a positive. But I think, it's very hard, I guess, to do games based on movies because the developers are going to be constrained to certain things that they can do. If it was an independent title, or if it was, someone like Batman, say Batman Arkham Asylum, or a company doing their own game where they can determine exactly what they want to do. If you're doing a game based on a movie or an existing, big label, to a certain degree, you're going to be guided on, the vision that obviously the movie director wants, and the vision that the company wants, really. So I think in a certain degree that a developer who's doing a movie-based game are going to be really, really constrained by a lot of things, and I think that's where a lot of games based on movies really fail, because often the subject matter to start with hasn't been super strong.
So you won't be pulling this one out over the holiday period to play at all?
No, I think it's got its moments that I think, as I said, vividly it looks really great, and it's probably good for really short playing sessions, and the two differing stories, but I just don't think it does enough to differentiate itself from any other third-person action game that we haven't seen before. So, I think it's just the usual, it's an average, average game based on a movie, and that's about it, really.
Sounds really exciting there, Gerard. Look forward to next week. We will be running through our top titles of the year. I'll be interested to hear what your rundown will be. Yes,
that's one that sort of, you sort of think back of all the stuff you've played over the year, and it's, and really for me the top games of the year, have come down to a handful of, and we're talking about the main consoles here, sort of a handful of titles, but I think, there's been some very, very strong titles this year, and for me it was really hard to try and, find that one that I found that was the top of the year, because, it's between 2 or 3 of them that were actually really on level footing in terms of brilliant gameplay. But yeah, next week we'll be determining the best game for the year. And at the end of the day, it's all a person's opinion too, isn't it? So someone could say, "Oh, that game's rubbish," but there've been some really, really good games. I think gamers have been really spoilt this year for some fantastic games, and it can only continue into the next year with some of the really strong titles coming out.
All right, well,